Okay, what else do we have here?
Well, I've brought along.
I recognize those.
Yes, you would, because those are, in fact, I mean, I wouldn't even know if one would say that they are commercially grown, but they are available because they're the one indigenous thing which has remained in fairly common use. That's sour figs, Carpobrotus edulis. They are a ground covering plant that grows incredibly easily, very useful to use in the garden as a fire retardant if you have a thatched holiday house, for example, and also quite a nice low maintenance ground cover for the verge and so forth. I've used when it's finished flowering, at the base of the flower is where the fruit starts to form, and you can eat it when the fruit goes sort of yellow and begins to go slightly soft. You can peel it and you can eat the inside of that fruit in its ripe, fresh stage. Otherwise, if you leave it to go dry like that, then it preserves for, you can have it the whole year through. And very often you can find them sometimes at roadside stands and so forth to buy.
And there's so many things that you can do with figs. You can pickle them, you can make jams, you can eat them sweet or sour or
Indeed,
spicy.
and I've brought a chutney for you to try today. I've combined that with brinjals and onions and the sour figs, which I soaked and then chopped up a little bit. You can put them just into a preserve as well, so that it's really just like in a sweet syrup. So it's a very versatile fruit.
So what is this? Because it looks like something we use every day, but it's also very different. It certainly looks like rosemary.
It does look like rosemary, and it's called wild rosemary.
Ah, that would explain it.
Yes, Eriocephalus africanus. If you give it a good squeeze, then you'll get the scent from it. You can use it.
Oh, wow.
You can substitute it for ordinary rosemary. So in anything like with lamb or with game, you can use it fresh like this, or you could let it be dried first. I've dried it and put it into these crackers. So there, in those crackers that I made, there are some sesame seeds and there's some dried rosemary, and I brought those along so that you could try the sour fig chutney with it.
I'm very excited. Now, this rosemary, does it taste the same as the rosemary we're used to?
It doesn't taste the same. It also does have a sort of an oiliness to it, which the European rosemary does have. It's probably, I would describe it as a combination between slightly earthier but also sort of quite light in the way that rosemary, when there's an oil in it in a plant, there's a sort of can be a kind of a lightness to it. It's also a very useful garden plant because it's the grey foliage is quite distinctive, and it's a plant which can be clipped and kept in check, so you can use it in a formal garden to make a sort of nice tightly clipped border out of. Or you can just let it grow really quite wild. And it's a water-wise plant, so it doesn't require a lot of water.
Which is so important for us to have in our gardens. Now, these are all so beautiful, and you've mentioned that I can get the Natal plum at any garden store.
Yes.
And I suppose I could do the same with the figs.
And with the wild rosemary. Maybe not at your average garden centre, the wild rosemary, but certainly, for example, up at Kirstenbosch. It is pretty commonly available now. And if you asked your garden centre, they would certainly be able to get it from growers because it is being commercially propagated.
So I ask for wild rosemary?
Wild rosemary, yes. It's called Eriocephalus africanus. There are several varieties of Eriocephalus. So, for example, I went on a journey into the Karoo to Prince Albert, and along the way we stopped over, and I always hop out and rub things and smell
You're
things.
You're that person on the side of the highway, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And there was one there which is Eriocephalus ericoides, which is sort of tougher, smaller leaf, but same sort of family and also usable as a herb.
Luby, I just love the idea that we can replace staples that we use every day with things that are grown here at home. There's just something lovely about that.
And for me, this journey is amazing because I just feel like I'm always at the beginning because there's more and more and more to learn. And I just feel like I'm never going to reach my destination because there's just going to be another corner to go around and another person to speak to. Up into the sort of drier parts of the Northern Cape, I'm itching to go up there to see what because really when you look around you, you don't see food in the sort of wild. I mean, I went for a walk through Rondaflay the other day, and if you aren't in the know, you wouldn't realize how much of plant matter that you're looking at is actually edible. And for me, it just continues to be something that I can learn about.
Now let's taste some of this.
Yes.
Please, what are we going to start with?
Okay, I think that you should start with the savoury and move on to the sweet.
I think that sounds great.
So the sour fig what have I called it? I've called it sour fig savory marmalade because it's like an onion marmalade. That's got a bit of chili in it, so I hope you don't mind a little kick.
Oh, I love a little kick. I
Good.
love a big kick, actually.
So help yourself and put some on a cracker.
So what is in here? I know you've told us, but won't you just...
Okay, there are... this one I actually made from brinjals when we were showcasing the observatory primary school vegetable garden the other day.
Yes, you spoke to us about that, and what I'll do is I'll put that video beneath this one so that our viewers can have a look.
Yes, so I was showcasing brinjals in that instance, and I just had a feeling that sour figs and brinjals would go very well together to make a kind of savory onion marmalade chutney. And so I've also put some spices in there, like a bit of clove and star anise and cassia, and some chili.
That is delicious. And it has a kick.
And it has a kick. And it would go very well on a piece of cheese as well.
Now this cracker has some of the wild rosemary.
So that cracker has wild rosemary in it, and it has sesame seeds in it, and in this instance I made it with half rye and half wheat.
I'm going to eat this all.
And those crackers, I really think, you can go to some of our sort of rather good supermarkets and find things like rosemary crackers. I think that we should have wild rosemary crackers on the shelves.
There really is an earthiness to the taste of these crackers.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely the wild rosemary has a kind of an earthiness to it.